Back in 2015, Japan launched a program to save their rural communities.
And that's when they discovered houses were more affordable in Japan.
You might have heard of it actually, as it made weebs from all over the world froth from the mouth. Now, it's nearly been a decade since this radical approach to revitalizing the Japanese countryside has been implemented, and for me that begs the question, has it been successful? I mean, I live here and I'm not seeing nearly enough weebs. It's kind of just been me, actually. Japanese countrysides have been fading since post-World War II, when Japan experienced rapid urbanization during the 50s and 60s, leading to the Japanese population being predominantly urbanized by the 1970s. During the economic boom of the 70s and 80s, the Japanese population urbanized even further as more and more people moved from rural regions of the country to cities like Tokyo, Osaka, Nagoya, and Fukuoka, in search of higher education and the better opportunities available in these cities. Even despite the asset bubble burst in the 80s, these population trends continued, seeing more and more people move from rural countryside to the cities where more opportunities and stable living was available. This trend was so bad that by 2015, only 9% of the Japanese population were in rural areas, and that's when the Japanese government decided to take action. With a total population of 127 million people, meaning only 11.5 million people lived in the rural parts of the country, Japan decided to make a change. Now, you might be wondering to yourself, reasonably, I might add, why this urbanization trend is considered to be a bad thing and potentially a problem that needs to be solved. After all, most of the world has been urbanizing and has been urbanizing since the Industrial Revolution. Answering this question might warrant an entirely separate video, but I can give you some of the highlights right now. 1, there's a loss of vital infrastructure in rural areas of Japan. There's increased risk of natural disaster from improperly managed natural resources, such as forests and farmlands. There's loss of cultural heritage, and there's obviously the reduction in food sources, as there are less and less agricultural areas up and producing in the countryside. And this is just to name some of the larger issues. So in order to tackle this problem, Japan came up with a revolutionary idea. And in 2015, they decided to take the some 8 million abandoned homes all around the countryside in Japan and offer them to the public for free. But has this revolutionary initiative really worked? Well, it turns out not really. The number of abandoned homes, or Akiyas as they're known in Japanese, has actually gone from 8 million back in 2015 when the initiative was first started to roughly about 9 million as of 2023. And despite a few notable success cases, such as Bungo Takada of Oita Prefecture, there are numerous reasons why the Akiya initiatives continue to fail. Firstly, there are high hidden renovation costs. Now, these shouldn't be surprising to us anymore, as there have been a number of creators who have gone through and kind of shared their experiences with purchasing these abandoned properties. But the costs in some cases can actually make buying an Akiya property more expensive than buying a brand new home. Secondly, there are hidden fees and taxes when it comes to buying these abandoned properties. Even despite the Akiyas being free, you're still expected to have to pay acquisition tax, registration fees, and ongoing property taxes. And finally, legal and bureaucratic hurdles actually make it quite difficult to acquire these properties, especially for foreigners who aren't familiar with the Japanese language or Japanese bureaucracy. Now, a number of startup companies and governmental banking efforts have been making headway into dealing with all of the various problems that the Akiya initiative has had to address over the last decade, but there's still a number of problems that are plaguing the Akiya initiative in this country. And it looks like without significant changes, Japan will continue to lose its rural population. So what do you guys think? Are Akiyas actually still a worthwhile investment in 2024? And if so, what do you think you would do in order to acquire these properties? What would you use them for? I'm actually kind of curious because I live here and might have the ability to buy up one of these properties one day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.